think any boxing club you'll ever walk into is not intimidating, but I was intimidated. But it wasn't anything to do with the people or the club or anything. It was to do with my own head and my own insecurities of myself and my own imposter syndrome that was making it intimidating. Having that experience, I'm making sure the onboarding process of a new customer that walks through our door, potentially become a member of our family, is welcomed the way I know that I would have liked to be welcomed based off my anxiety. Because no one knows what goes through your head, even if people aren't dealing with any mental health. I know what I would have needed, so I kind of apply that to the onboarding process of Hooked.
Meet Jake McBride, the proud owner of Hooked Boxing Gym. Jake isn't just a gym owner, he's a mentor, he's a motivator, and he's a force in the local boxing community. Whether you're a seasoned fighter or you're just starting out, Hooked Boxing Club is where champions are built, and Jake is the man behind the magic. Get ready to hear his story, his love for the sport, what drives him to help others achieve their dreams, and the powerful lessons he's learned inside and outside the ring. Grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, whatever you fancy, because you're watching the official Young Hunger podcast. My name is Michael Burgess, and we present to you Mr. Jake McBride.
Hi, so my name's Jake McBride. I'm the founder of Hooked Boxing Club. We have 2 sites, Belfast and Hollywood. Really looking forward to sitting down today with Michael from Young Hunger to discuss all things boxing, business and mental health.
Mate, thank you so much for coming on.
Not a problem.
Here, this is the first time I've ever been in this gym. I've walked past it and I've drove past it and stuff, and I've seen it online. I was going to say the marketing, I don't know what you guys do, but it actually makes me want to go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I'm seeing all the angles and seeing all the what's going on, and thinking to myself, whoa, like that's actually a place I want to try. How do you create that? How did you make, I guess, a brand that people want to go to?
I think, to be honest, making a brand is very heavy. For me, it's very heavy reliant on market research and seeing what other people who have been in the game longer than me are doing and how they're doing it, and they're exceptional at it. So looking at them, predominantly in the likes of London and stuff like that, or New York, or that's kind of where I get a lot of my market research from. Yeah. And then adding my own flavour to that is kind of my key to making sure that I'm always on top of my marketing game. But to be honest with you, I feel that we'll have a really cool looking Instagram and stuff, but the back end stuff can be done a lot better, and that's kind of something that I want to touch on today as well, is about systems. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm very hard on myself, you know. Like, obviously, I think that's what you have to be when you're a high achiever. You're very hard on yourself all the time, you know.
You're a young man, you're what, 26?
26, yeah.
Man, how long have you been doing the boxing game?
So I started boxing when I was 18, pretty late on, but I was a decent footballer, and then I started boxing. I went down the white collar level because I was never in an amateur club. Done the white collar, loved it, fell in love with it. People said that, like, you know, I had a bit when I was doing the white collar. I was talented enough. Then done a semi-pro, which was through the white collar. I won that against a guy who was much more skilled and much more in the game, a lot longer than I was, a lot more experienced. Yeah. And I beat him, and then fell in love with pad work. Then when I ended up going into like a commercial gym and started taking pads on the gym floor. Yeah. And the being in a commercial gym was through me going down the white collar level and stuff, going down that route. I was able to get into a commercial gym because I started having a real passion for fitness. And I started taking people on the gym floor, and then started building a clientele up. Then COVID happened. So, you know, we had, so what would you say, 18, 19, I started the fitness industry when I was 21. Then COVID happened for 3 years. Yeah. And then after that, I went, when I was 23, I went as a sole trader, just taking pads on the gym floor, self-employed. So it was about a year in Ballantyne, and then I'd done a year as self-employment. And I built my clientele from 10 to 40, one-to-ones a week. And then after that, I opened Hooked #1 off the back of market research in 2023. And then in 2024, Hooked #2 was born, and then we're still in 2024. So yeah, it's been a matter of journey.
So we're in Hollywood.
Yes.
The other one's this is a Hollywood Main Street, essentially, for anyone who wants to find out more. The Belfast one, whereabouts?
So the Belfast one is an industrial mill called Ono Cork Mill. It's in Beersbridge Road, and it was the same gym that I used to PT out of as my self-employed route.
Yeah.
And then I ended up talking the boys who owned the CrossFit gym, and that's where I was doing the PT out of, into moving next door. So essentially I manifested that, and they did it. And then, I ended up taking on hook number one
Yeah.
after that,
Yeah, that's mental, like, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's funny because we recorded a couple of podcasts there lately, and they all talk about the manifesting
Yeah.
and like the vision boards and the goals. It's like sort of a common trait that everyone has.
Yeah.
Weirdly, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, manifesting is something that someone told me it before, and I didn't believe it because I was in such a negative mindset at the time, because I worked, before I done PT, I worked as I worked on continental shifts in a packaging company, and I was in a really bad state of affairs mentally. Like I touched last time I done a podcast, I touched really on my mental health and me having OCD, and the reason why I kind of got to where I've got to today is, I think, of my all-in attitude for anything. If it's positive or negative, it'll be all in of whatever that is. So when I was in that industrial job, I was all in on the negative thoughts, the anxiety, not wanting to be there, not wanting to be on this earth, like mentally, because of just how bad my mental health got to. But then when I went and started taking people on pads and started doing the fitness instructing jobs that I started getting into with Valentine, like all that kind of just started to disappear, and I started to get obsessed with the way I was starting to feel.
Yeah.
And like I started getting obsessed with like good mental health, and like when people were doing a class, I was getting good endorphins off the back of their endorphins after finishing the class.
Yeah.
So it kind of just started to compound, and then I started to believe in manifestation because things actually were starting to
Form.
because
Yeah.
of my positive attitude. And also, like, when you set a goal and you double down on that goal, and like it's all you ever want to do and achieve, you will achieve it. Like there's nothing that'll stop you from achieving that.
Yeah.
Like I had a manifestation goal when I was in Valentine Health Clubs, which is in Hollywood, that I was going to own my own facility in Hollywood one day. And I used to dream about that and visualize it and manifest it. And I didn't set a stamp date on it, but I'd had a real clear vision of what it was going to be and how it was going to look. And it's very similar to this. It wasn't on the high street, to be fair, my kind of initial location that I had for manifesting, but
Yeah.
this is a better shout
Yeah, I was
than
gonna say-
what it did manifest,
Even when you were in such a negative headspace and stuff, was that always the vision, the boxing, or was there anything before that you were thinking, maybe I don't know what I want to do, and
No. So boxing came through trauma, through no real direction. I couldn't play football anymore because I was doing day shifts and night shifts
Yeah.
in the continental shifts. So I couldn't do that anymore. So I didn't have any sense of purpose, and I didn't have anything to do really. Like I was kind of lost in a way. But boxing, and I was. Can you swear on this?
Whatever.
I was shit at boxing at the start, like really shit. Brothers and all used to laugh at me when I was hitting the bag out the back. But then I started obsessing over it. I started like really believing that I could do things, and I'm a real visual learner. When I go and watch something on like a YouTube or someone doing something, I can normally replicate it, what they're doing. I've always kind of had that, even when I was playing football, I used to watch Ronaldinho and Neymar on YouTube for hours, and then went and practiced it out in the street.
Yeah.
So I've kind of always had that in my head, and then you can maybe relate that to visualization of what a gym's going to look like. So I was doing the market research visually. I was looking at what they were doing visually.
Yeah.
And now I've applied of what a boutique facility should look like.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard someone say a boutique boxing club, essentially. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You said you're taking that London sort of feel and bringing it to Northern Ireland.
Yeah, like I feel that we're being a bit of a disruptor in the boxing scene at the minute, and I feel that we're making boxing accessible for everyone, and a lot of it comes down to small group PT is very one-to-one approach. You're doing it in a like-minded community, and it's in a ratio of a max 8-to-1. So within that, our coaches have an attentive eye of everyone within the class to learn the sport of boxing and make them learn all the skills what you would learn in an amateur club, through pad work, through one-to-one attention, and through good coaches as well. We've really got good coaches, and now me having 2 sites, I've had to delegate a lot of roles and responsibilities, and I'm going to be doing that a lot more next year with the recent kind of investment that I've made to the business, in the sense of a mentorship program that's going to take our business to the next level. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how that kind of plans out.
Whenever, I guess, whenever you were having those sort of dark thoughts and things, and you had them visions of wanting to open a boxing club, what was like the sort of step-by-step process of what you did to actually own a place like this or set up your own boxing club?
So I started building a good PT clientele, and they were paying high ticket prices for PT, and they were wanting that exclusive feel, I felt, and none of them had boxed before. So I felt that when I went over to London and seen that it was kind of similar kind of communities that there was in these gyms, I kind of knew what I needed, and what I wanted to achieve, and I thought bringing that to the gym that everyone was used to anyway was a really good shout. But then when the minute that I seen Hooked Hollywood available, I jumped at it, because I knew that this is going to be the long-term thing, and having a site like this on the high street, and it's going to attract the clientele that we're trying to look out for. It's like that exclusive feel to a boxing facility, because boxing's for everyone. Like I say this all the time, and I'm very passionate about boxing anyway, but I do generally believe that everyone could fit into a boxing club and absolutely love it, and pardon the pun, get hooked to it, because
I like it.
It's such a good boxing is such a good thing for not only your physical health but your mental health as well.
One thing I actually noticed, just whenever we came in and started setting up, like, see the amount of people knocking on your door, all ages, asking, and I'm like, whoa, like, it's mental. Like, literally, we were just here, and I don't know how many people, like, 5 or 6 people. Like,
the high street approach is very good for that, and it's something that marketing is something that we had to really do a lot in Belfast, because it was in an industrial unit, so you have to rely heavily on really cool marketing, and when people message you, and that's something, again, I'm looking to do systems wise, is making sure that I've got a good back end system and to be able to make sure that we're hitting all them leads. But the good thing about having a facility on a high street is it's visually there and people can see it, and and people are kind of, they don't know, it's kind of hard to see in as well, so they're kind of really looking in to see what's happening. And that's a good thing about having us on a high street, is you will get a lot of that. But it's cool to have it on the high street, and I feel that was a good move by us to have it on a high street and make it a high street presence.
I know one thing that can be sort of, with a boxing club, like, it can sort of be a wee bit intimidating, like for new members. Like, I would never get that feel here. And I feel like it's a different, as you say, different like feel, different vibe. It's more welcoming. I think any boxing club you'll ever walk into is not intimidating, but I can vouch for this myself. I was intimidated, but it wasn't anything to do with the people or the club or anything. It was to do with my own head and my own insecurities of myself and my own imposter syndrome that was making it intimidating. Whereas I make sure, having that experience, I'm making sure the onboarding process of a new customer that walks through our door to potentially become a member of our family is welcomed the way I know that I would have liked to be welcomed, based off my anxiety, because no one knows what goes through your head. So I kind of use that as my own experience to kind of make sure, even if people aren't dealing with any mental health, I know what I would have needed, so I kind of apply that to the onboarding process of Hooked. What about, I guess, with the whole boxing thing, what makes you guys unique in the industry?
So we feel that the small group personal training approach is very much 20% large group boxing, 80% small group personal training for strength. And I feel that we're doing it the opposite way, whereas we're double downing on boxing fundamentals and boxing technique in a small group environment, to make sure that, because I'm only going off my experience. I had a full-time clientele that all loved pad work, and they paid me good money for that. So doing it in a like-minded community with more people in it, and still having that pad work experience within that class, I felt would be the key to kind of our recipe for what we want to achieve in terms of how the gym should look and how the gym should feel, and also the systems that we're kind of bringing into the gym is all very heavily focused around learning how to box in a small group environment.
Yeah, no, I get you. We're in a ring now.
Yeah.
On a leather sofa. It's kind of iconic, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's cool.
No, that's the first
Good
time. It's
idea.
the first time I can say that. Like, to be honest, Dean hooked all the time on socials. I don't know what you do. Like, you really push and market yourselves well. I feel like, how can someone, if I don't even mean like in a boxing gym, but like their own sort of marketing, how can they grow and get better at that? From your own experience.
From my own experience, like I feel like I'm very hard on myself. Like I feel our marketing could be so much more better.
Think so?
Yeah, massively. Yeah, I think that we're nowhere near where we need to be in terms of marketing. Like, but I think I have to thank good videographers. Shout out LDG. Shout out Jake Thompson, who's coming on board now as well. And also making sure that, again, market research. Like look at your kind of people that you aspire and you look up to, and use what they're doing for their marketing approach.
Yeah.
But like add your own flavour to your
like
your
what
own
you
marketing.
guys have done with the gym.
Yeah. So like I looked at what they're doing over there in London, but then I just use my own kind of flavour to that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the key. And I think, you know, I would be very honest with everything. And I think transparency is a very good thing, and it's something that I really value myself with. And I can hold my hands up and say that there's a lot of things that I did and I've done up to now where I've taken market research approach to, as opposed to thinking outside the box and doing it myself. And I think you should lean in on them creative people and bring them into your team.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
in order to
skill set, different knowledge.
skill set.
Yeah.
Yep. You hire better, you know, hire better. You know, when we get to a point where we are going through the hiring process, I will be making sure that I bring in someone who's a lot better than I am, who can grow the brand bigger and better.
Yeah.
You know, than what I'm gonna have to do. You know, and I think that's the key.
Even with like Ross and stuff there, like he nearly thinks of like camera angles and what looks best on camera.
Yep.
Because that's what he knows.
Yep.
As in I wouldn't.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't even know the type of camera.
Yep.
But and then sort of, as you say, like delegating as well can be kind of
Delegating tasks.
Especially if you own the business. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's what I'm struggling with at the minute. You know, we opened the gym there, we opened Hollywood in May. A lot of our clients are from Hollywood, so they moved to Hollywood. So I have another site there that's building again, and I've had lessons where I've been struggling a bit on how to do that. So I've taken on a mentorship program that's teaching me how to do that. How to make sure that you're hiring the best staff, hiring a head coach for that gym, making sure that you're giving them tasks, making sure that they're like bulletproof on how to do a sales call, how to do an onboarding process, where your emails need to go. To date, we've never sent an email. To date, like we haven't sent one email ever to a client. So this is where we're lacking, and what we've achieved up to date right now. This is kind of where, this is where I shouldn't be too hard on myself because of what we've achieved.
Yeah.
But also making sure that I'm acting on making sure that we're putting the right systems in to do the email marketing, to do the onboarding processes in Belfast, making sure we have an onboarding process in Hollywood, making sure that I'm training my staff on how to do these stuff, so then I don't need to do it all the time. Because right now I've been doing everything in terms of like on the back end, but now I'm teaching the team on how to do it, so I don't need to do it, and that's a delegation of a task.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to make sure that the proof of concept is correct first before then you delegate it. Because if you delegate it too quickly, it might not work. You know.
That's why actually I find even trying to, because you want something to look right in your own head, and it might not necessarily be what happens. But sometimes what I find whenever you're delegating stuff, it nearly works out better.
Yeah.
Whenever you give it to someone and they play with, but their spin on it, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like the first time we ever did a podcast, that I had an idea in my head, and then with the likes of Ross and stuff there, it actually turned. It was slightly different, but it was better than.
It was better.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I just can't believe
And
that.
I think having that mindset's very, very important. You know, like I feel that like you can't do everything yourself. You know, you're saying that I have really good marketing. That's not really me. That's people that I've lent into, who's made it good. You know, I have a really good friend who does my marketing, helps me out with marketing. and she has a team there that she kind of helps me out a lot with. And then, you know, I had Luke that was doing stuff for me. He was kind of doing his spin on his videography stuff, and then obviously I have to thank the facility to kind of make it really cool, because of the way that the gym looks is pretty, you know, it's nice aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I think that all helps, you know.
Yeah. See, even like at the start and stuff, how did you, if you don't mind me asking, like how did you gather the capital or the investment to? I guess, start your own business?
So the first for Hollywood, I partnered up and got a business partner who was my long-term client, and he's been with me from the start, and he's seen my story, and you know, really believed in the vision that I have for the brand.
Yeah.
And that's it.
What about your family and stuff? Was anyone entrepreneurial? Where do you get it from?
Not really. Like, my uncle he would be a wedding planner, and like he'd be very entrepreneurial actually. But I only learnt about entrepreneurial kind of traits through my clients in a way. Like, you know, being around good clients who all own businesses, but like in between race breaks, you're just like leaning into them for a wee bit of advice, and sometimes I didn't even know that I was doing it. Until kind of the end of the session, and they give me like wee cookies that I can take on to the next one, and then I just got obsessed with business and how it all works, and setting yourself personal goals, I think, is the key to winning in business too. Like, you know, I just fell in love with boutique boxing facilities, and then that's kind of how I ended up getting more ideas and just looking at other people and seeing what they're doing, and then applying it to my own kind of brand.
It's a Sunday today. What's the sort of waking up day to day for Jake?
So I wouldn't be one of them 5 a.m.ers.
No.
Like, no, I would love to be.
Yeah.
But like, cause I've been on antidepressant tablets. I've been on. I've suffered badly with mental health. I have dips. So I'm not kind of that structure kind of routine. I would kind of like. I would, if I'm feeling really good, I'll get up at that time, you know what I mean, and I'll do that. But there'd be times where, like, after this podcast, I'll probably go for a nap because I'm like exerting so much energy.
Yeah.
So like, I kind of just take it every day as it comes. I like it when clients book in early because it gets me up.
Yeah.
When a client books in for a PT, I'll get up for that. But I'm not too good at getting up for my own self, which that's probably something I need to work on. And that's probably a lot of why a lot of people join small group personal training facilities, because they lean into that accountability that what we give them.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think everyone leaning in together to have that accountability, I think, is massive, and I think that's probably why a lot of people do that, and they join these kind of clubs, because they know that they're going to meet their friend there at 6 a.m.
That they said they were going to go to.
They said they're going to go, and you're not going to let them down, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you know, I think a lot of people do. But I have a lot of admiration for people that do it for their own selves.
Yeah.
And that's something that I am gonna learn. I'm very heavy on the business at the minute, but when the business starts to, you know, take care of itself, then I'm going to be really looking forward to getting into my own kind of personal development journey.
You actually touched on something there really interesting about like your low points.
Yep.
Is there anything you do that gets you back up running? Something that maybe someone's feeling low point watching this.
Yep.
I can help them.
Doing what you love. At the minute, I love business. So what actually keeps me ticking is making sure that I'm very in the business and learning more about, you know, modules on what the mentorship program's giving me, and you know, making sure that I'm doing all the tasks that I set out to do in business, and then also how the business is growing really helps me at the minute. But before I got into business, it was boxing, and it was training myself and picking up the gloves every single time I felt lonely. I just picked a pair of boxing gloves up and got into my own head with combinations, with technique, with footwork, with head movement, video myself doing it so I could like watch it back and see what I could learn.
Yeah.
Like, so that took an hour out of my day where it was just I was distracting myself as opposed to what was going on in my head. And running was massive for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do much
loved running. Yeah. I used to run a lot.
The football and stuff you were saying.
Yeah, I loved running. I used to pretend like I was a boxer back in the day because I was too scared to box. When I played football, I used to go out and listen to Rocky and used to run and pretend I was a boxer, and I was in a training camp. So that was what I used to do, and I'm fortunate enough to have 2 facilities where I can get into the ring whenever I want and
Yeah,
shadow
it's
box.
a nice
and-
ring too, actually.
Yeah, it's class. It's good. It's brilliant. And the one in Belfast is actually nicer, to be fair.
it?
Yeah. In terms of like just there's sponge underneath the canvas, so it's a bit nicer. But
No, I like it because I've seen so much about it, and then to actually be here, you're nearly like, whoa, like this is actually it.
yeah.
You know, you're nearly a wee bit like, whoa. Do you ever speak to Chris Sutter down the street?
Yeah, Suter. Yeah, he was in a fight recently, wasn't he?
Yeah, did you go?
Yeah, went
were
to it.
you,
Yeah,
aye?
yeah.
Yeah, no, we had Chris on a year or two ago.
Yeah.
and he was actually the second ever guest we've had on. And
No, he's a lovely man and very, very, very successful business owner and entrepreneur and very passionate. Shout out Chris Suter, yeah.
does he fight here too?
No. He's I don't know if he does it anymore, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure.
Would you do any more fights yourself?
Probably not, to be honest.
No, business more.
Yeah, I'm more. I want this brand to go. I don't like talking too much about the long-term goals because I've a lot to fix right now, you know, and obviously I don't want to get too ahead of myself, you know. People say to me, to stop sprinting before you can walk. You know, I like to kind of jog a wee bit, you know what I mean? I don't like the kind of the saying of that is walk before you can run, but I think like walking and sprinting as a thing, and then I'm just running because I feel if you walk, you're just going to be left behind. If you're sprinting, you're going too far. You know, you kind of want to be in that kind of middle point. But I feel that we've a lot of things to do here. Once this gets really, really good in terms of where we need it to be with the 2 sites, then we're going to be looking at more sites, franchising, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, boxing for me was only the game to get out of my own head and do something that I loved. And the love of competition, you know. And obviously, because I have 2 sites, and it probably would be an amazing thing where I could get a load of boxers together and we could do a boxing night every night. And but I'm actually suffering with an injury. I fell off my Super 73ers behind me. It fell off that at quite a big speed. So I've hurt my shoulder. So that's not too. It's not too good.
You did. I seen a wee bit of content you've done before. Was it with Holly? Was there another podcast and things? How do you find it now? Like.
It's good, yeah. I don't know how I'm sounding right now, like, but yeah, no, it's good. You know, it's I love talking about my journey, and I love talking about my passion for what I've built and what I am building, and how it affects my head doing it. You know, because I don't do it for any other reason, and it helps my mental health, and that's why I do it. And I love how it makes my clients feel after a session too. So that's kind of why I love spreading positivity in regards to it, because I'm kind of like living proof of what boxing actually has did for me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like always a good bit of awareness spreading on how it makes other clients feel, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure like your clients, even seeing you do a podcast now, are probably thinking, you know, because there was a couple there before setting up. Yeah. They're probably thinking, fuck, like, there he is doing a podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you probably take a wee bit of inspiration from that as well.
Okay, no, I feel that all my clients are my best mates. You know, they all kind of support me, and you know, they all love me dearly, and I love them dearly, and you know, they have a lot of time for me, and they know these are the things that I like to do, and you know, I appreciate that you reached out to me and you know, letting me come on and tell my story and stuff, and you know, it's amazing to think that that's kind of what we're doing now. But you know, before, when I was 18, I never even have dreamt that I was going to be boxing. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I would never have ever have thought that I would have 2 sites in 2 years. When I was 18, just starting off, hitting the bag in the back. Absolutely shite.
See, whenever you said, look, I want to open these gyms, I want to sort of have this vision of what I want to do, was there anyone being like, oh no, that's too risky, or don't be doing that, or?
Yeah, the ones in the continental shifts were saying like, you know, oh, you're gonna earn a good salary, and you know, you're gonna pay a mortgage off, and I don't. That's never been for me. Like I'm a high achiever, and when I finish something, I'm like, right, what's next? You know, what's next? Like sometimes people have to pull me back more for like, because I'm trying to grow, as opposed to thinking about the now. Whereas there is some other people in life that just like to be content, and that's completely fine. But for me, that was never for me. That was, you know, and people said to me before, like, don't go down the personal training route. You're too small. You know, you're skinny and all the rest of it. You know, the misconception of personal training back then, I think, was very much bodybuilding or strength training, or you know, looking a certain way. Whereas they just didn't understand my vision of what I wanted to achieve, and I could see a gap in the market. So I just kind of went for that, you know.
Yeah.
I've been I never really listened to anyone in terms of
No.
like if it's anything negative, no. I've always been on my own path, and I only listen to my clients, my loved ones, and you know, my family.
That's probably the thing. Like whenever I was starting the podcast and stuff, like I was a shy guy and stuff, and like people would be like who knew me, being like, you know, I don't think like talking on, especially on camera, is for you nearly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like these people know me.
Yes.
They must be right. But then I just thought, fuck it, I'll do it anyway.
Yeah, no.
And then just a couple of years later, haven't looked back and stuff. But no,
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on, mate. Like
No, definitely. Thanks very much.
whenever I reached out, I was like, you know what, like this is something we haven't really done before. We've had like Tommy McCarthy and stuff.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
wanted to actually speak about like a business owner.
Yes.
With boxing and stuff.
Because, like, I mean, obviously, I can't really, you know, if you were asking me kind of boxing-led questions, in the sense of, like, actually being in there, like, that wouldn't be the right kind of person to ask, you know. Like, I can tell you a lot about, like, how to run a boxing try to run a boxing business, you know, but, like, obviously, I feel that what I'm doing is pretty niche, and you know, not only it's not money driven either. It's for my own mental health, and I kind of just want to create something a bit different.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that people are even asking me to tell my story. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, because after seeing your last one and stuff, talk about the mental health, you know, that's hard to talk about that on camera.
Yeah.
And sort of open up and show a wee bit of like vulnerability nearly.
Yeah.
Of being like, look, this is how I felt. I'm sure a lot of people sort of resonated with.
Yeah,
that
like
too.
I mean, I'm probably one of the biggest overthinkers like you'll ever meet, and
You openly say that, like.
yeah,
You know,
and I mean, again, I'm very transparent. Like, you know, I've suffered with, you know, I've been on antidepressant tablets. I've had days where I've never wanted to leave my room. You know, I've missed events where I've kind of made excuses up, and you know, there were sometimes I didn't want to even be in the earth anymore. You know, like it got that bad, and I don't mind saying that, because like there's going to be someone out there listening to that, and
Yeah.
and resonating with me, and if I can go on to achieve great things off the back of a mental health kind of traumatic experience,
Yeah.
and what it did for my mental health, and going through a real point of a low point in my life to kind of turn it around. I feel that like I like doing that, because that one person out there listening to that is gonna like think, flip, you know, if he can do it, I can do it, or
Yeah.
you know, and that's kind of why I do it as well. And I think that, you know, everyone vents in a different light. You know, I like coming on sometimes, and just if I'm ever low, I sometimes like to kind of share that on my story and stuff, and on my personal Instagram. And if I'm on a high and I'm winning, I like to share it too. I think it's very important to show when you're low, show when you're high, and then also show when you're in a medium kind of state of mental health. You know.
Yeah, because that's something like social media. You don't really see that. You only see the ups. You only see the smiley faces, the 5% of someone's life. And then I feel like, especially in today's age, you nearly have a wee bit of comparison syndrome.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck, like their life's amazing.
Yeah.
Mine's maybe not so good and stuff. Which I think is pretty interesting after hearing you.
Yeah,
speak and
like
stuff.
I think people should be doing it more often as well. Like I mean, sometimes when I'm having maybe lesson points in business, and I look at someone that's posted a win, you're kind of like, oh, but then, you know, you don't know what they've went through, or, you know, every single person goes through lessons, like everyone. That's how you get better. You know, when you fail at something, I don't even like fail as a word. Like when you have to go through a lesson, you will look out for how to win in that, so it actually makes you better when you go through like a lesson, or a loss or a failure, if you want to say that, as a temporary failure. You'll look at how can I make this better, and then you will get it better, and you will see how you achieved it, and then you'll double down on that to make sure it's systemized. Then once it's been systemized, then it's delegated, and then you just move to the next thing. And that's kind of what I'm learning now.
Yeah.
Do you know?
No, I get you. You're a young man. You've a successful business, right? If someone was to come up to you and like maybe doesn't even want to like do a boxing gym, but has like an idea in their head and like want to start this business, any advice you would give them?
If it's something that you're passionate about, like triple down on it.
Yeah.
Like do what you love. Don't listen to anyone. Don't look for quick success either. You know, it's going to be a long journey. The 2 years that I've kind of been on in terms of hooked hasn't felt long, but there's been a lot of hours that I put in this, you know, a lot of hours that people don't even see. My fiance sees it, my family see it, but I'm generally obsessed with business, like all the time,
Do you ever switch off?
No,
Never.
never, 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 never.
Is your loved ones ever like, come on, you need to spend more time
Yeah,
with me?
and I sometimes I envy people that can't switch off, but at the minute that's something that I need to learn how to do, and I will learn it like eventually, but at the minute I'm just very much all in about trying to win and trying to get to my kind of what winning means for me, because everyone's winning's different, but I've got a goal in mind and I'm not going to stop until I get it. But there is times where burnout happens because when you don't switch off, you will burn out at times.
Yeah. How do you handle that? How do you handle burnout, I guess?
Very difficult. I kind of just have to take a day to myself, really.
Yeah.
You know, I have to just fight through it a wee bit and then kind of like try and switch off a wee bit by doing what makes me happy. I love listening to motivational music and stuff, and you know, like people who are like leaders speaking about stuff and like it's put into that nice music. I don't know what even that the music is, but like I love listening to that and getting into my own head.
Yeah.
And then like realizing, you know, what I have, what my goal is, and what my vision is, and then I get back on the horse again. You know, that's kind of.
Do you write it down?
Journaling is some like journaling kind of.
Yeah. Sorta.
Like I'm getting better at that. I've done a wee bit in here and there and stuff, and this kind of program I'm on at the minute is really teaching me step by step on what I should be doing to kind of like journal, when to journal, how you should set your calendar up, you know, writing stuff down in the right places and like guiding me, like mentor me, just for the day-to-day stuff in business too. It's not all about like the small group side of things and how can we have a pricing structure and all that kind of stuff. It's more, a lot of it's just how the founder actually like spends his time and what way it should be spent properly. You know, because there's only 24 hours in a day, and 8 hours of it, well, hope everyone's doing 8 hours of sleep. I'm not, but like most of that's when you're sleeping too. So you need to make sure that you're prioritizing it, and also making sure that everything that you do is prioritized to your own goals. You know, and also your loved ones' goals and people who are most important to you. But you know, delegating the less important stuff, I think, is the most important thing to do.
Yeah, you were saying there beforehand, before we were filming and stuff, about like setting up the gym and stuff, and you were saying how like the person who you like rented off or whatever it is, they seen the passion in you and stuff.
Yeah.
I sort of took a wee bit away from that. I thought to myself, like, for them to be able to see your like energy and your passion for this vision you have, that's inspiring to me nearly, because you're nearly talking that into existence as it's happening.
Yeah, like that's exactly it. You know, like, and again that goal, I think, see, talking stuff into existence. I would say sometimes I'm too much of a talker, in the sense of like I would be too open. I would overshare a lot, but that's just because I'm trying to talk things into existence, and I think that actually really works. Yeah, I do. I think that really works. Like I was talking about second site, like 3 months before we actually opened the second site.
Yeah.
But I started really like speaking about that every time I could.
Convincing yourself, nearly
that
like
we're gonna have a second site. And when I walked into this gym that we are now, like, and it was just a shell. I kind of like, I already knew. I started writing my speech the minute that I walked away from that, and that was the first meeting that I had. Oh, who's that? Santa. But yeah. So
actually, it's a sleigh there. Like.
Yeah. We're like in a wee fishbowl here on the high street. We get that a lot. But yeah, so I started writing my speech when it was a shell, you know, like, and the landlord had so many other people that was like viewing this place, but I just had so much belief it was going to be ours, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and I just knew it, you know.
No, I love it. Like, to be fair, like, that's what I sort of look for in talking to people, like that wee bit of inspiration and what can I pick from that person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll probably watch this back and I'll be like, oh, I actually heard something I didn't hear sitting here now. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm too busy thinking and stuff.
Yeah.
But I know you say you don't like looking too much into the future and stuff. But what is your vision, I guess? What is, I guess, next for yourself in the business?
The next kind of goal in mind is we get to a point of capacity in both sites, and then after that we look at what's next. Where's the next hook going to be placed? in whether it be Belfast, whether it be England, and then after that we kind of think about, I think, a couple more sites myself, like me managing, and then potentially a franchise model. I think would work really well. And then just making sure that we're at capacity, making sure that we're making sure that we have a lot of corporate opportunities as well. I think corporate well-being is something that we're very open to, and we've a lot of businesses that actually do our services for their staff. And well-being of their staff, and then also for the directors of the company to use as their kind of like meeting day almost, that they actually use that to come and do a bit of pads, and then they'll go and have a coffee after their boxing session together. So
I love that.
So they do a lot of double down on that kind of approach to making sure that boxing is aware in corporate businesses, like the way it is for yoga. Like I think yoga is very, very good at like going into corporate workplaces and doing like yoga retreats inside the businesses. I think boxing has a place for that too. And then just kind of keep growing.
See, at the start of the podcast, you were saying about like hitting the low points.
Yeah.
Back when you were doing that job at the start and stuff.
Yeah.
If that man was watching you now, what do you think he would say?
Good on you. Good on you for keep going, and because I could see a light at the end of a tunnel, but it was like a marathon away. You know what I mean? It was so far away, but then I just kept being persistent. I started to drop a lot of people that was maybe negative around me, and I started like really focusing on the people that made me happy, and people that I felt comfortable around, and then I also just started doing what I loved. And I think the person who I once was, if he was to see the future self now, he would be saying that stop talking about business and
Get the work.
Get the work.
No, I like it because that's sort of a question we ask in most podcasts, and everyone sort of has their different view on it and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's nearly like a different person.
It is, yeah, definitely.
What I realised coming into the gym, it isn't even just a gym. Like there's an ice bath. Well, how do you get all the ideas and infrared sauna?
Infrared sauna, cold plunge with shower facilities now. How we get the ideas, I think, is realising what we didn't have on our first site, and then bringing it to the second site.
Yes.
And then there'll be things that done really well in this site that we'll be able to bring to the third site.
Yeah.
Do you know? And then randomly you start picking up wee things.
Yeah.
You know,
being like money conscious, nearly being like, you know what, this here's a great idea for upselling, nearly.
Yeah,
You know,
I think it's just the whole kind of package. You know, having when you walk in here, it's like a one-stop shop. You know, for health and well-being. And I think that's it really. And I think pivoting is really important in business. When something's not going right, don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
Think of how it can be fixed and fix it quickly. And don't just overthink about that. You need to pivot a lot in business. And that's something that I feel that I'm very good at is when I see something's not going right, I will quickly act on it. Especially if I get constructive feedback or anything, like I'll quickly act on it.
Yeah.
And I think that, or I'll try my best to. Like there's a lot of things that everyone could be doing better, but I feel that that's something that I really try and hone in on is making sure that there's any kind of feedback that I have from a member's perspective or from a business standpoint, I will pivot very quickly and try and see how can that be resolved.
No, I get you. I've one more for you.
Yep.
This is something we ask on every podcast, but say someone's walking past and they see you and they want to maybe follow in your own footsteps and stuff. Is there one piece of advice in particular you would give them? Be like, do this.
Find what you love. Don't think about it, just do it. Because I would have been very, very much of the other end when I was younger, was think, and not act. Whereas now, I'll think about it, I'll love the idea of it, I'll obsess over it, and then I'll do it.
Yeah.
Whereas now, you know, that's kind of that's the way my mindset is now. You know, I'll think about it, I like the idea of it, I'll feel how, you know, how could this impact me in a certain way. I'll really love the idea of it, and I'll just do it. I'll not like keep overthinking, and then let it just be a thought, because a thought and an action is two different things. So I think if anyone has an idea to do something, if they want to go out and do it, don't listen to any negative talk around that. If you want to do it and you really, really want to do it, and there's no other kind of person there telling you what to do, just do it, 100%, 1,000,000%.
Mate, thank you so much for speaking
Yeah.
to us. Like, I actually really enjoyed it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed being
it was
down
a
here.
great podcast.
Is there anything, I guess, just before we wrap up, like, where is your the address for anyone wants to know? Any events coming up? Anything you want to say here?
Yeah, so Hooked Hollywood is in 98 to 100 High Street. Then we have Hooked Belfast, which is on Beersbridge Road. It's in the Industrial Mill in Ono Cork Mill. We have an in-house members event in March. We're the Hooked Belfast v Hooked Hollywood. So it's a white collar event that we're putting on. And then just as we grow the team, we've actually just brought in a kind of an events coordinator who's going to be doing a lot of events for our members. We'll have a Hooked 90 challenge that's coming, which is going to be for new members coming in January.
Yeah.
Which is a 90-day challenge based around my experience with 75 Hard. So are you familiar with 75 Hard?
I tried doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you get on?
I done it before I had a business, and I had a lot of free time in COVID. But I've took elements from that, so I did the 75 Hard. Like I did it like extremely well. I got into my kind of obsessional kind of thoughts, and I was like, I'm doing this to the T.
Yeah.
But the minute I finished the 75 Hard, I went and spent 50 quid on Domino's, and like started binging out again, and I got back to the way I was like in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
So my fiance is actually doing the 75 soft, which is like the softer version of it, which is like one workout a day. 2 to 3 liters of water. Still tracking your calories and maybe having one cheat meal or one cheat day a week. So I think that's a bit more manageable, and I think that's something that you can do. That's something that you could do after the 75 soft's finished.
Yeah.
And we're applying that the Hook 90 challenge, where you're going to be doing boxing, but you're also getting accountability led through a kind of a program like that. So that's going to be pretty cool.
And can new members, if anyone wants to maybe come and see you before joining or anything, just walk in and...
Yeah, so there's different ways. Like, I mean, today's been a very lucky day in the sense that I've been here.
Yeah.
But normally we do it on a consultation basis because we're a private members club, and I'm not here all the time. Like, I'd be maybe out doing meetings, or I'd be in Belfast. I'd be in our Belfast site. So members can only get in with a key fob, and it's kind of, people just can't walk in through the high street. Okay. So it's kind of on an appointment basis. But yeah, like, I mean, if I'm here, like, you'll be welcomed, and like there was today. But I was very lucky. We got a good group of people in.
Wasn't planned or nothing?
Wasn't planned, no. I didn't.
Guys, come on.
But no, it was good. But no, thanks very much.
No problem, mate. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Make sure to check Jake out here at the 2 locations. Shoot him a message. You've been watching the official Young Hunger podcast. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.